All the things I wish I knew before traveling Vietnam with a XR150L. First, how to start the bike. First, turn on the key, make sure that the neutral light is on. Then you can use either the electric start, this button, or the kickstart right here. So you're gonna kick it one time and it's gonna start. Usually the main problem with these bikes are when they're cold, like for example in mountains, they're gonna have a little bit of time to get started. Maybe you'll have like some low idle and it will shut down. So how to fix this problem? Right here, you see this little knob. There's 3 steps, all the way up, middle and down. It should always be down when you're riding. However, to start it when it's cold, you should push it up, start it in the middle to let it idle. Let it idle until it's warm, and then when it's warm you can just push it back down and then you can ride easily. Second tips is about packing. The XR has a natural rack on the back and you can also add another bigger rack. However, you should never pack too heavy since it will affect greatly how the bike handles and you will mostly feel less comfortable on the bike. So please, even though maybe you're traveling for a month or something, try to pack as lightly as possible. If you are, for example, 2 on the bike and you happen to have a lot of backpack, you can also add 2 side racks to put 2 big bags here. However, I don't recommend it because it usually ruins kind of the handling of the bike. Next is about how you dress while crossing Vietnam. Usually people tend to wear flip-flops and shorts and stuff like that. However, you should never. You should always wear at least the pants, closed shoes, and a good helmet if possible. Usually you'll see people wearing those cups. I would recommend it if you're driving in a city because it's going so slowly that you don't really need a big helmet. However, to cross Vietnam, you should absolutely get a full face helmet or at least a half face to be secure. And never drive without a helmet. The police will catch you and the fines are pretty hefty. I think it's a good thing for the country, but yeah, be worried about that. A concern I hear a lot of people ask me about is, isn't 150cc too slow for going throughout the country? However, you should know that speed limitations in Vietnam are really low. So in the city it's going to be 40 kilometers per hour. And outside the city is going to be 60 to 80 maximum. However, you should never be on the big roads, so it's never going to be 80. This bike goes until 100, 120 kilometers per hour, which is more than enough. You'll never be at these speeds. And it's great handling, has some off-road capabilities. It's a dual sport, so it's not completely off-road, but it's more than enough for anything that Vietnam has to throw at you. The roads are not that bad, not as bad as Cambodia or Laos. People usually tend to assume that Vietnam is going to be very poor, but infrastructure actually is not that bad here. You should absolutely consider crossing Vietnam by bike. It is the most humbling and real experience that you can have here. Usually people go by bus or by plane and they tend to only visit the center of big cities and only see tourists. However, you can really see the rural part and the real Vietnam with a bike. It's so much freeing. You should be aware of the police. The police in Vietnam usually never arrest tourists except in the Hai Giang Loop, which is very heavily policed due to the fact that it's almost only foreigners driving there. However, even if you don't get stopped, you should absolutely get an international driver license. Try to be as legal as possible and please do respect the laws. It's very important. Basic things like helmets, speed limitation, not going at the red lights, it's just basic sense, but it goes a big way in Vietnam. Visit this country quickly. Yo! Vietnam is a country where people are so kind and warm throughout the country, really, and they always help you out. So don't stress too much about breaking down on the way. Well, if you rent with us anyways, we'll help you out along the way, but even so, you'll have a lot of help from the locals. They are so kind. They'll invite you to beers. However, if you're driving the next morning, just tell them no, because they'll make you drink until you fall. So be careful about that. And yeah, enjoy the country, man. Beep beep.